Right, this is then the IV, so current and voltage characteristics required practical. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at three different components. The first one, an ohmic conductor, which is often called a resistor. Number two, a filament lamp. And number three, a diode. Right, so first one, the characteristics of a resistor or an ohmic conductor. Symbol for a resistor is a rectangle with two lines coming on each side. What you've got to do is you've got to build the circuit that is below. So here we've got a power source, right, which is kind of like a battery. We've got a variable resistor. We've got a voltmeter. We've got an ammeter. And we've got our ohmic conductor or a resistor. And obviously each one of those lines in between is then a wire. Now to actually get a set of results, what you've got to do is you've got to adjust the variable resistor. Right? And so as you change the kind of recordings on this variable resistor, what happens is the ammeters and the voltmeter change. If you then, so you've got current there and you've got voltage there, if you then swap these kind of bits around here, right, so the electricity is then flowing in the opposite direction, what you then do is you then have negative values. All right, that is then a resistor. The second method is then doing it for a filament lamp. It's exactly the same structure, all right, and again what you do is you adjust the variable resistor, and when you adjust the variable resistor, what you do this time is you get like an S-shaped graph. The third one is then a diode. Now exactly the same thing happens with a diode. Sometimes what you do is you might get an extra resistor added because diodes are very, very sensitive. You will get a milliammeter because the actual amp change is very, very much less, right? But then you do exactly the same thing. You adjust the variable resistor, and what you end up getting is you end up getting one going that way, and then you get a line that then goes that way. Now don't forget, a diode is like that with a circle around the outside of it. Okay, that's the symbol for a diode. Now, what you've actually found out. For an ohmic resistor, the current is directly proportional to the potential difference. It is your straight line. So as the potential difference goes up, the current goes up by an equivalent amount. With a bulb or a filament lamp, when the potential difference increases, the filament gets hotter. And if it gets hotter, it increases the resistance. So therefore, what you do is you get the S shape. Okay? Because the resistance changes, you then get a curve. If you swap around the potential difference, you get a mirror of it. Okay? But the whole point in it now is as you get more and more potential difference, it gets hotter, which then makes the resistance higher. The last one, the diode. With a diode, you can add potential difference, and only then at a certain point does the diode actually let current flow. If you reverse it, no current flows at all, however much potential difference you're actually putting into it. Right, now with this, the most important thing is you're going to get three graphs. Right, the method is there. You're going to get a graph like that. You're going to get, you're going to get a graph like that, right? And then you're going to get a graph like that. You've got to know the reason why that one is straight, which I then just explained. You've got to know the reason why that is S-shaped, because as it gets hot, the resistance changes. And you've got to know this one, right, which is a diode, which only allows current to flow at certain potential differences.
So now you've watched the required practicals. Now what you've got is instructions about what you have to do. If you're unsure about anything to do with the video, then you need to go back through it. In the exercise books, don't write out the questions themselves. For shorter answers, just write out the answers that you're using in the question, Longer answers, do a plan, make sure you get the right order, and then bullet point or small, precise paragraphs. Don't do long reams of writing, it's not the way to do it. The questions are then on the next slide. Pause the video, And when you've written the questions, review and see if it all makes sense.